Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Christian and welcome to another live stream episode. So today, I've actually prepared a few topics that I'd like to talk with you about. So hey, not a chaotic live stream as all of my others, but yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff that I just need to talk about. We just got a big community update or a big community project update, as you might have seen when watching my last YouTube videos. And I thought in this live stream, just gonna ask a few questions you might have regarding this new community project. Of course, I'm talking about the new Boilerplates refactoring or the new Boilerplates CLI tool that I just released a couple of days ago. And yeah, this is a project that probably will be featured a lot more in all of my future videos. And there's obviously a lot of effort that I put into creating this tool, and I'm always trying to improve it. So I thought we will use the live streams here to talk a little about the project. And I'm going to give you some heads up what's coming next, what features I'm planning. And of course, you can always ask questions. And yeah, hopefully we can address some things here in this live stream. But apart from that, apart from this big community project, there are also a few other ideas that I have in mind that I just want to talk with you about, and also a few interesting news regarding some of our favorite tools or applications, services, projects that we're using in HomeLab and that we love to tinker with. And I thought it might be also useful in a live stream to have some form of news-related sections so that I can just talk about some of the stuff that's going on with the favorite tools that we're using and some of my thoughts. So, and of course, feel free to share any questions in the chat. Feel free to say hello. And it's also great to see you guys. Thank you so much for jumping in. Hey, why authentic? Hey, nice name, by the way, Brian McCord, crypto lifeless creator. Hey, how you doing, guys? Good to see you. And I just like to talk first of all in the first section of this stream about some of the news and tools that I recently have been using and a few interesting new features. Now, one thing that you probably might be aware of as if you watched some of the recent videos is that I just recently found out about this new automation platform N8N, and I'm currently playing a lot with this tool. It's really amazing. And it just got a new release, adding some interesting features that I just like to highlight here in the stream. As for example, the data table is like, now we got some form of persistent data storage inside N8N, so you don't need to store this to external tools or anything. You can just create a data table in here, and it's similar to like a lightweight relational database inside N8N, so you don't need to connect to a MySQL server or to a Postgres server. You can just store it if you want to store some relational data or fields, tables, some similar stuff. But I think could be really useful if you're managing automation tasks and you just want to keep track of certain things and you don't really know where to store them and how to store them in a format that's always reliable. So that's a great feature you can use. Currently in beta, but I have been playing around with it, feels kind of stable. And what I also absolutely love is the Python task runner. So this is a pretty big feature because in the past in N8N, you were only able to run, I think, Bash scripts and JavaScript stuff. No, Python is here, and yeah, as you might know, guys, I'm a big Python fan. It's actually the one and only programming language that I really know, at least to a medium level, I would say. By the way, I'm learning a few new languages. So I'm recently started to look into TypeScript and JavaScript and also Go. But yeah, Python is my first choice when I'm developing stuff because that's where I feel the most comfortable with. And to see that we have that in N8N is absolutely fantastic. So I really love these features. So hey, to Carl T, hey, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Do you have anything for automated generation network diagrams that don't look horrible? Good question. Actually, not. As I don't really know if there are any automated tools for creating documentation. I mostly draw my visualization or document in Excalidraw, as you might know. So that's where I create network diagrams. I don't really know if there are any tools that do this automatically, but honestly, I prefer to do this myself because then at least it forces me to think twice about my infrastructure and to question a few things. Sometimes you just see issues or gaps when you're visualizing it, so therefore I'm a big fan of manually doing this, although I'm a huge automation fan as well, but that's really like a network diagram. I think that's where you can actually spend some effort into thinking about this infrastructure and visualizing it so you better memorize it. But yeah, maybe if there are interesting tools you could share, I will definitely take a look. Moin, Christoph. Yeah, nice questions. Yeah. Yeah, you kind of like to troll me, right? I mean, you just did with the other big community news that I recently rebranded my Discord server, so to speak. I don't know if you guys are on the Discord or not. I mean, if you're not on the Discord, then shame on you. Then you definitely should check out the About section and join right now, because I think we've really built an amazing community. But one big problem that we recently were facing a lot was spam activity, and spam is really a big problem on Discord, and it's bothering me like nearly every single day, where I just need to review stuff and people are coming on the Discord and sharing stuff. One thing that I recently found out is that there are, for whatever reason, many religious people coming to my Discord and spamming about, I don't know, some religious related stuff. And I was just nothing against religious stuff. I mean, it's like, if believe whatever you want to believe, yeah, so I don't really care, but I was really wondering, so what the heck is going on? And I realized it probably has something to do with the naming of our Discord, that is Christians Tech Community. And even though tech is in the name, these people assume that Christians is not about my name, it's about the Christian religion. And then they start joining the Discord server and starting talking about religious stuff, or spamming, or trying to convert people into something else. And then, okay, this just needs to stop. I don't know how to stop it, but I need to stop it. So that's why I took the initiative and changed the naming and the logo of our community to CL Creative Community. Which is actually the name of the business that I'm running, because in Germany, you have to run a business if you're making some money. No matter how you make money, but you need to have a real business and you need to pay taxes and stuff like that. Germany is really strict when it comes to that. And yeah, that's how I just named my company. And I thought, well, yeah, just gonna name this. I think back in the early days, some people might remember we were called The Digital Life. That's how this thing actually started. But I didn't want to go back to this old name, so that's why I changed it to CL Creative Community. But hey, we'll see. I've got some other plans in mind for the future, and this name will perfectly align with what I have in mind. So I'm not going to talk too much about it, but certainly, as I start exploring the world of creating my own applications and services, yeah, that's I'm thinking about some other endeavors that I'm looking into. CL is Church of Lampard. Yeah, probably not. I mean, it's oh my god, right? Well, Christoph, you are just making me nervous with trolling. So please stop, man. It's but actually, I had to laugh so much this day because of this. I don't know what's going on, but hopefully this religious spam will stop on my Discord. Or maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, but we will see in the next days if it changes anything or not. We will see. Anyways, so that's kind of the off-topic. Yeah, so again, that's about some of the news for some of the applications and services I have. So N8N is definitely I will explore this more in the future. Somebody in the chat mentioned Kestra. Yes, a video Kestra versus N8N would be nice. And I'm certainly thinking about it, but I haven't really fully decided on what is my most favorite automation tool or platform, because there are just so many of them, and I think they are all doing a great job. Every platform has their own strengths and weaknesses. Especially N8N has some great advantages over Kestra, in my opinion, but Kestra also has some advantages over N8N. And I haven't really decided for myself which is the main platform I want to focus on. And also because, I mean, these automation platforms are all great, but there are also some tasks where I just prefer simple GitLab CI pipelines and workflows, because I think you don't have to do everything through an automation tool. If there is a native integration in GitLab or GitHub to run actions or CI pipelines, I don't really like to connect another tool in the chain. I want to use as less tools as possible. I know it sounds strange from a guy like me, but it is actually the truth. So for one task, I don't like to chain too many different tools together, because then it's just becoming a complete mess of dependencies. Like if there's just one particular part in the chain that has a problem, it affects each other task, and this is certainly becoming a problem. That's why I try to find out, so what is the best use case for these particular tools? Like N8N has some great use cases, Kestra has some other use cases where it is superior, and obviously GitLab CI, where is most of my HomeLab automation currently running, is also superior in simplicity, and yeah, it has direct access to the Git repository. Why chain another tool like N8N into this thing? So yeah, that's why what I'm currently thinking about, what are the particular use cases to use these tools. And then at the end, I think I can make a realistic or objective decision, and I can better explain what are the strengths and weaknesses of these tools. So be a little patient with me with some very specific comparisons. I just need a little more time to play around with these tools, because in the past, I just found out that at the very beginning, I'm getting very quickly excited about something. Yeah, because if I see something that looks great and has great experience and cool features, I absolutely love it. But when I use this for a longer time, you're only then most likely getting to notice the problems. That's, by the way, a huge problem I have with YouTube content in general, because there are many creators jumping on each and every hype train and very quickly pumping out videos about something new. But I often had that experience that when using something for a longer time, only then you really notice the weaknesses. And that's why I usually tend to take a bit longer until I make a video about something, because I just want to take the time to carefully review it and letting myself go through some of the painful processes and troubles that this tool is coming with. And for Kestra, I can certainly say where it has the weaknesses. I'm using this for a long time, but N8N is quite new in my tool chain, so I just need to play around with it for a little longer. That's I know, long talk about something very short, but yeah, that's just my opinion and my thoughts about it. All right, so yeah, that's definitely some interesting news here on the N8N front. And so let me just go through some of the comments here from you guys. All right, so Lifeless Creator says, I like coding, but when I watch some cringe-worthy videos about making money, I become distracted. I mean, it's like... What can I say about this? I mean, it's like watching these AI videos, yeah, where people say you can make money with AI, and I don't know. Don't care too much about it. And yeah, TypeScript and Go are nice programming languages. I definitely want to learn them, but I have so much on my plate, so I just need a little more time to familiarize myself with other programming languages. It's not my main profession anyway, so I probably takes a bit longer until I learn something like coding. But I'm getting more and more into this world, which is, by the way, also the reason why I created my own CLI tool. We'll later talk about some of this stuff here as well. So yeah, stay tuned for getting some behind the scenes look into how I built this tool and what's going on for the next versions. Do we have any central management such as LDAP for your Linux servers? No, I'm not using LDAP right now. I'm using Authentic, and I had connected this to many other platforms for authentication. That's what I'm using right now. And I know Authentic has an LDAP feature, but I never really integrated it into anything. So yeah, I didn't have a use case right now, but if you're using Authentic and you are looking for LDAP, that's probably a good starting point. So watch my Authentic video. It's going to help you to set up central authentication service, and if you can connect LDAP services to that, it would be great. All right. All right, good. You play the piano in the background. Actually, as you can see, there are a few things lying on this piano. Yeah, what probably could be a hint that I didn't had enough time in the recent past to play it, unfortunately. Yeah. Currently, I'm so distracted with other activities that I just don't have the time for it. But my son just recently started playing keyboard. And okay, sure, it's like getting me more into the music world again. I'm really excited about it. I'm also playing around a lot with Suno, the AI music generation software. They just released the Suno Studio. I'm really playing around with that a lot. But of course, from time to time, I just like to play myself. Yeah, and but yeah, in the recent past, honestly, I just didn't have the time, unfortunately. And I'm also probably not going to play live in a live stream or so. I thought about that, but yeah, it would be a complete disaster. So I'm not going to try that. Into ice hockey. Well, my son and me actually we're just started playing football. So that's an activity that I'm currently doing. And yes, I know. I'm the early, like I'm next year. I'm getting 40. Yeah, so and starting to play football is probably not the best idea at this age. But anyways, I'm just excited about it. It just makes fun. We have like a small group of people that like to play football, not professionally, of course, but just as a hobby, and it just makes so much fun. So that's. Yeah, I know it's called soccer, but I think if I say football, I think everybody knows that I'm not just that I'm not playing American football. I mean, just look at me, guys. So so that's what I mean. I mean soccer, of course. Yeah, sure. I'm 49 and play ice hockey. No excuses. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's that's yeah. I have the same opinion, guys. So why not? Yeah, it's nothing stopping you from doing this. But yeah, so that's why I got distracted a lot with other activities, and I didn't have much time to play piano. And yeah, Warp, thank you guys so much for jumping into the live stream. By the way, you have been a huge help into my community project, which is definitely the next topic that I want to talk with you about, guys. Because if you probably noticed, I just introduced some huge changes on our community project Boilerplates. So this is for those of you who don't know, the template engine that we're using to create, or where I'm sharing templates about deployment stuff like Docker Compose files that you see using in all of the videos. In the past, I also managed Ansible playbooks templates or Kubernetes manifest templates in here, and also Terraform templates. This is all coming back in the near future, so I'm constantly working on improving this. But the very big change on this repository recently has been the new CLI tool that I've created. And this CLI tool is helping us, or helping me actually, to create and maintain templates. And it gives you an easy and a simple interface for you to consume these templates and to customize them and generate templates based on your environment. So I just recently released my video explaining a bit more about how this tool works. So if you haven't watched it, then go and do this right after the live stream. It's going to give you some more insight into how to use this tool to generate templates. And this is definitely the path that I'm going forward. I think this video was pretty successful. Many people watched it, and hopefully our community evolves using this tool. And this is also a big chance for us to standardize many of the templates, especially when making video tutorials about these technologies. And yeah, long story short, this is a new tool that I created. You can see, you can very simply install this through this one line script command. So this will download the Python scripts and install this on your system as a system-wide command. Of course, this is not the end of the road, so to speak. So there will be other deployment mechanisms. This was just a quick and dirty way of getting this thing up and running on your desktop or in your workstation. But I'm thinking about other package managers that I'm using. Obviously, Pi is one of these package managers, but I'm also looking into how I could publish this via Homebrew. So when you're a Mac user, which I hope you are, then you probably can use the Brew package manager, Brew install Boilerplates, and it should be ready. And it also should automatically update with Brew update and stuff like that. So that's currently some kind of limitation. If you want to update the Boilerplates tool, you just run this install script command, and it will override the old version with a new one. So that's really the project that I've been doing, and Warp is such a huge help into writing and maintaining this application. It's absolutely fantastic. Honestly, I have created probably, how can I say this? Probably 80% of the code base is generated via AI, which is pretty heavy, I know. But of course, I'm still manually reviewing most of the code changes and most of the code base. And I've also written some parts myself where I specifically wanted to be in a way that I can easier manage. So sometimes LLMs don't actually do everything in the style or in the way that you want them to do it. But I'm also starting to learn how to create these prompts in a different way, that the outcome is actually more to the vision that I have in mind. So this is definitely something that is quite interesting, and I also hope, or at least that's my vision, that this tool is going to evolve a lot in the future, and we're going through a bunch of different iterations and make this tool better and make it more usable for us as a community, because I think it's really saving so much time when generating or watching the videos and following a tutorial. But at this one or another step, you want it to be a bit different for your environment. I'm just gonna give you an example. I'm just gonna throw out my terminal and for example, just show you some of the released templates here. So, for example, and thanks, by the way, Warp, for jumping in and answering some of the questions from the chat. So that's a huge help. I know there's currently some discussion around about the promo codes. In the past, we had some, I would say, abuse of these codes. So that's why we needed to get rid of it. But we will definitely find a way to get this tool used for you guys. Okay, guys, so Vinix, just gonna answer your questions. Actually, my official job description is technical account manager, but it actually doesn't really fit what I'm doing right now. But yeah, it still is what it is. So no one actually changed my job description to what exactly I'm doing right now. which is more like technical support and technical. Sometimes also like writing scripts or evaluating stuff. That's what I'm doing as my main job. But I'm still doing this. So. Portainer is maybe a good example to show, right? So let's take a look at this. By the way, I created an alias called BP for boilerplates, which is probably you can also just set up an alias in your ZSH or Bash or C file. That's gonna help. And when we execute show portainer, it will show us the details of this boilerplate. So this will generate a boilerplate for this application. I also added some project links, documentation, and GitHub repository if it's available. And it shows you the template file structure. So each boilerplate will generate more than one file, or not every, but sometimes it will generate more than one file. Some of the applications might require additional configuration files placed in a directory or something like this. The boilerplate can also not just create the compose file, it will also create the config files, and it can replace or add certain parts of the config depending on what you configure in the template variables. So here, for example, you can see when creating a boilerplate for Portainer, the general or the default variables are set to configure the service name, the time zone, the restart policy, and stuff like that. They also enable ports, this exposes the ports on the Docker Compose file. And you can also, if you want, connect it to a different Docker network. That's disabled by default because it's not everybody uses this, yeah. And but if you want to add traffic to your Portainer instance, so you want to expose this via trusted TLS certificates and stuff like that, you can enable the traffic variables, and this will give you access to all of these settings in here, where you can customize the traffic network, which means the boilerplates will be generated with a Docker network, so an external managed Docker network, and connected to this, where your traffic reverse proxy is running, and you can customize the host name, so that will add a host rule or add the traffic labels to the compose file. By the way, while we're doing this, we can generate a simple template. By the way, I also added some other commands in here that will help you to test out these things. Yeah, by default, it's running in interactive mode, so that means it will ask you to change certain values if you want to customize them or not. But you can also try it out in dry run mode, so this will not write any files at the end. It will just show you what the tool would generate if you would run it. So I don't guarantee that all of the flags are working exactly the way that I've tested them, but in most of the cases, it works fine. So if I just generate Portainer, and for example, let's quickly go to temporary directory or so. I think that's better. Whoops. BP compose generate. Let's grab this command and execute it. So, customize any setting, yes. So here we can change the values in here. So service name Portainer, container name Portainer, container time zone. Here we can set, for example, Europe Berlin. You see in the README file, it's still saying Europe Berlin. I don't know if that's the best time zone to show in a README file. Maybe I'm going to change it. But yeah, that's it. Container restart policy unless stopped. Okay. And let's disable the port exposure because we want to use traffic in our example. So we say traffic yes. And then in my case, the traffic network is not called traffic, it's called proxy. So I'm just going to change that value. And for example, I want to deploy this to portainer.home.clcreative.de. That's my domain. I can add it. And of course, I want to enable certificate management. So that means I will use the web secure entry point and my certificate resolver for DNS challenges. And at the end, it will ask me if I want to generate these files. I just say yes. And then if we do an ls, you should see them in here. So here is it. And if I open this file, you can see, okay, so there's a time zone that was set by the template. It also set persistent volumes by default. So as you can see, there is no question about the persistent data storage, because it's something that you always need. So why should I make something configurable? That's always the best practice. So I try to follow best practices for all of the settings, but certain parts will be customizable. So that's always like a balance, right? You need to find. And I probably will find the right balance over time with more of your feedback, because some guys might want to customize the name of the volume or something like this. Yeah, this is currently not possible, because I think it's just, if you make everything customizable, I think there is no real argument to use that tool at all, right? So I try to make things easier and simpler for people by just pre-configuring certain values or hard coding certain values, but to make the areas that matter to us as a community as customizable as we can. And this we will find out over time. So what makes the most sense, yeah? And we can have a discussion about if we might want to add certain volume configure options. By the way, in future versions, I'm already planning this, but currently right now, this is something that's hard-coded. At least, you got the ability to customize the values that are important. As you can see here, it added a host rule for the domain for both the HTTP router and the HTTPS router, because I activated traffic TLS. And now I could just copy this onto my server and deploy this, and yeah. If I'm making a video tutorial where I explain how to deploy an application, I will usually show this here. And you can just follow the tutorial by using the same commands. But for example, when I'm in my tutorial, I'm not showing traffic because I'm running this on my local machine. And you are following this video, watching this, and you want to do the same, but you want traffic to be enabled, you can just customize this little section here, but the rest of the video is still relevant. And I think that's a huge help that will make the videos much more streamlined into don't focus too much time on the customization parts and all of the clunky, very specific settings, because they are different for each and every environment anyway. So I think there is no real value into showing every time how to deploy an application via traffic, because if you've watched that once, you understand how this is working, and I don't need to go through this in each and every video. But giving you the ability to follow the important parts and enable these sections, I think that's gonna make things a lot easier. But yeah, that's at least my opinion. I mean, you probably can better tell me if you find this useful or not, and time will tell if people are, using this tool to do, their deployments or to create compose files. But I think there's a huge potential in this, and I definitely want to expand this tool to add more features and to support other types of templates. Just to give you a few behind the scenes look into what is actually going on. By the way, if you want to report an issue, just go to the Boilerplates repository, go to issues, and feel free to raise a new issue in here. You can do this right now. You probably have to sign in on GitHub, but if you create a new issue, you can describe what is the problem. You can also set labels. I don't know if everybody can do this, or if only me can do this. I don't know. But if you encounter a problem that will be targeted as a bug, I usually give it the problem label, or if it's a new feature. Sometimes I'm also discussing things like if you make a suggestion, hey, could you add this? Could you add that? But that needs further qualification or further discussion. We give it a discussion label and then talk about it, how we are going to implement it and how we are going to change certain things. And as you can see here in the issues, there's a lot of stuff that I'm currently working on. I'm also kind of like playing software developer. Yeah, I don't know. But it just makes a lot of fun to me, right? Planning sprints using these milestones here. You can see I'm creating milestones for documentation, migrations, and Also other versions, like new version 007 is currently the next one that I'm working on, where I'm introducing a template schema versioning. So currently there is no mechanism of like enforcing compatibility between the templates. Like the templates are just as I create them, but I also thought about this. If I'm gonna change certain values in here, is change the template specifications, yeah, so the names of the variables and stuff, what will happen to the old templates that were still using the old variable names? I cannot assume that everybody has always the updated version of the boilerplates installed. In some templates, if I introduce a new feature, a new variable type or section, I don't want to upgrade all of the other templates to that new version. So I need some form of schema version where I can say, okay, this template is written for specification version 1.x, yeah, and the new schema has a few other variables and functionalities also, and this is then the version 2.x or whatever. So this is what I'm currently working on. And this obviously, the larger the program becomes, the larger the script becomes, the harder it is to introduce these changes, because as the code base grows, it's really getting more and more complicated. And sometimes I really have to search and find the exact same the exact point where I need to make a change in the code. So it's like, I think every developer can talk about this. It's like, but for me, it's completely new. I've not worked on a large software project in my life. So this is the very first project that I'm completely developing myself. And this is going to get more and more difficult, yeah. Also, when I start migrating some of the old templates for Kubernetes, for Packer, for Terraform, and Ansible, I've not completed the project documentation. I also need to improve release notes management, and yeah, there's a lot of work that I need to do. But honestly, it makes so much fun because it is so easy to develop this program using Warp, and it's just such a big help. I've also started to playing around more with artificial intelligence and agentic coding. And you can very specifically describe what you want the AI to change in the code. And then it's finding its way through the code. It's ingesting the code. And it's also able to understand what you want to achieve. Of course, it's never without any problems. Yeah, I cannot say this. But for most of the parts that I've been using it for, it is absolutely insane. It's super helpful. And I can just say, that's my honest and humble opinion. Without AI, I wouldn't have been able to write this application. Not, at least not in that time frame, yeah? So I probably would take like 10 times longer. So this is really a huge help. And what is also super cool, you can very specifically do some, how to say this, very specifically help to maintain the entire life cycle of the release. So, for example, when I want to summarize what's going to be implemented in version 007, AI can figure out, so it can connect to my GitHub repository, and it's reading the necessary files, changelog, and it's able to tell me, so what are all of the changes that I started doing. So here, for example, you can see what I've been working on. It's currently not released, but once I'm done with it, it will get finished. For most of the tasks, I try to create issues like template schema versioning. I also added a new schema for network mode support. So this, for example, is the network mode for bridge, host, and Mac VLAN. I need Mac VLAN because I'm working on a new Pi-hole template. And Pi-hole uses a DNS and a DHCP server. So if you want to add or use Pi-hole as your DNS server, and you're running this on a server that has DNS port already consumed, you need Mac VLANs to do that properly. That's, for example, one of the the reasons why I just needed to implement this as a new feature in the boilerplates, so that you can choose between bridge, host, and Mac VLAN network mode. And I also try to make this dynamic so that some of the settings only become active when certain settings are set. For example, like Mac VLAN and bridge mode need a host name, need a network name, but host mode doesn't need a network name. Yeah, so that's why I added some variable level dependencies. I started adding optional variables. And because that question, I read that in the chat, I think Squirrel said, will Boilerplate support Docker Swarm and Kubernetes config generation? Yes, definitely. So here you can see I also started to add Docker Swarm volume configuration. So I can show you some sneak peek into what's currently going on. So this is currently the version that I'm developing right now. So this is not released yet, but if I'm gonna say compose list, you can see some new templates in here that aren't released in the current branch, like traffic, for example. And this is definitely part of the video that I'm currently making. I hope this works right now. Yeah, okay, it works. So again, this is kind of like a template that actually introduced quite some heavy challenges, right? First of all, I want to make the traffic template working in Docker Swarm mode, which will usually start using the placement. Okay, so currently it's no placement host. The placement mode, which is replicated. Actually, for a traffic service, you want it to be distributed across your cluster, maybe or maybe not, depending on what you need. Yeah, and if you start setting the placement mode to global, or increase the number of replicas on your cluster, you have a challenge with the certificate store, because if you're using Docker Compose on a single Docker host, that's fine. You just use a mount point or local Docker volume, but as soon as you start clusterizing this service, you need a shared storage. And how you do this is either through NFS or to a shared file system. And this is what I'm starting to work on. Support multiple configuration settings for NFS volumes. And I also need the template to make I need to make the template somehow dynamic, that it stores like the ACME token in Docker Compose mode. I simply store this in a .env file. But when using Docker Swarm with traffic, it's best practice to create a Docker secret object. So I need to program this tool and the template in a way that it can change depending on what settings you enabled here and what not, and always follow the best practices. Yeah, of course. By the way, one question that I also want to address is here. Let me find it. Someone said I always need to do security testing. And yeah, of course, that's crucial when you're developing a tool. Luckily, the risk associated with boilerplates is relatively low, because it does not do anything harmful on your device, as it doesn't deploy stuff, it doesn't delete any files, it doesn't store any secret credentials or something like this. It's really just a template engine. So the security risk is relatively low. However, there are still like concerns I might have about outdated dependencies or using libraries that are not secure anymore. So it is not as easy as you might think. However, you can also use AI or Warp to do a security evaluation. I'm not going to do this right now because it's probably going to show me a few issues here, but from time to time I do this. So to speak, start creating a prompt that says, hey, can you please evaluate the security risk, or can you please evaluate the security vulnerabilities in the dependencies or stuff like that? And AI is going to go through the code and listing out this stuff. It's going to help to make things more secure. You can also do stuff like code quality help reduce redundancies. For example, I often do this when I'm just gonna show you an example. Like, can you evaluate the code base and find redundant code that could be optimized for code quality and maintainability, something like this. Yeah. But don't change anything yet. Just tell me and provide some options to optimize. All right, so that's, for example, a prompt that I'm just going to firing up, and it's going through the code base and doing stuff like that. You can do this with security checks, right? What I'm already doing is like linting for some of the YAML files, for example. And sure, yeah, that's absolutely right. So CI/CD is definitely a good way to do this. Here, for example, so you can see there's already some stuff coming up, like duplicate variable section lookup logic. So it feels like some parts of the code, when expanding the code, it's starting adding more stuff into the code base, and then it's sometimes creating redundancies, like redundant checks, or here, for example, you see redundant config validation logic. So it's like validating the variable values in multiple places. Yeah, that actually doesn't really make sense. It's better to validate it once, and then it's validated. Yeah, and not do that recursively or whatever. Yeah, or template loading duplication. So that's actually template loading logic is duplicated across list, search, validate, and module. So that probably could be optimized, yeah, by creating a separate function for this, or file tree building logic duplication, repeated library checking. So you can see there are a lot of issues that I probably would need to address. And at the end, I can say, for example, let's raise this as an issue on GitHub, so I can track this and start working on it tomorrow or in the next days. Yeah, so I could say, can you raise a GitHub issue with a case description for the stuff we want to improve or implement, just like a work in progress item or so. Yeah, so that's something that I can do right now to just keep track of it. And that's going to help making things faster. Yeah, so it can either just use GH, which is the GitHub, or I can use GitHub MCP. Then I can use the GitHub MCP service, so that's connected to my GitHub account, and it's gonna create the issue for me on this repository. So that's also a huge help. And I don't need to copy and paste this information or use it. I can just tell the AI what it should do, and it's in the background handling all this stuff for me. Yeah, so MCP server tool not found. Yeah, I probably need to start it. That's also, usually it should actually recognize it on its own to do this, but I probably haven't started the stuff. Yeah, okay, all right. So try again, or I can try again via MCP. So when the MCP server started, it usually works. All right, but yeah, that's how I started to work with this tool, and yeah, the more and more I use it, the more I love it, because it's such a huge help, and it allows me to develop this tool faster and easier. Yeah, so let's see how that's working right now. Actually, I've never done this in a live stream, so usually when you present stuff and it doesn't immediately work, yeah, I can see I'm completely lost. Anyways, I still can use the GH CLI instead, so that's also an alternative how you can do this. Usually the MCP server works, but I don't know. But here, for example, you can see that's the body. So here it describes everything that I need to do. And yeah, so here it was created. Sometimes it goes through some trial and error. Here, for example, you can see that it probably used some labels that are not existing on my repository. So it recognized, okay, so that's a problem here. So I need to reiterate or optimize the command, and then I can remove the file again. But if I go back to the repository, you should see it here. Refactor code quality and maintainability improvements. So that's everything that we have found and that we start working on. So I'm just going to assign this to myself and give it a label feature or something like this. Yeah. Honestly, I don't really know if that's how software developers work, but I suppose they work this way, because otherwise you don't really know how to prioritize these items and how to work on this. And from time to time, I think you need to do some refactoring processes. Yeah, thanks, War, by the way, for the GitHub MCP server. Surprisingly, it just worked today, right? I was doing this. I was doing this earlier in the morning, and I probably just restarted my computer, and I don't know what's going on. I will troubleshoot it later, but usually it works, so I don't know what's going on. But I think I just need to, maybe I need to reconnect or anything. I don't know. But again, it worked. It worked the other day, and it worked tomorrow. But yeah, so that's usually how this whole stuff works. What else is pretty useful is the context 7 MCP server. By the way, this is something that I also wanted to show you. I probably make a separate YouTube video about this, but this is really an amazing MCP server. It's like context for agents and developers. So this is like, it gets access to most of the libraries and documentation for stuff like, it's, for example, when you're developing a Python application and you want to use a library like Typer, for example. That's what I'm using for the CLI integration. And when you're using LLM out of the box, it will usually use old training data, so what it was trained with. And then it has learned from some website tutorial, there is a Typer version 1.3 or whatever. And when you make a prompt saying like, hey, create an application that uses the Typer library, it grabs this old version from the training data, but that might be years and years ago. So the latest version is, I don't know, 2.x, right? And context 7 is like, it's an up-to-date version-specific documentation for these libraries. And you can say like, hey, please use the latest version for this library. And then the LLM will ask the context 7 MCP server to get all the updated versions, to get the documentation, so that these API commands, or like library versions, or when it makes API commands, that it's using the up-to-date version-specific stuff, and that you're not using old training data. It's super useful. And that also improves the code quality, because you can say, hey, please don't develop this with older versions. First, check what are the new versions of the libraries, and then start working on this. So yeah, this is what I'm doing right now. Again, I'm learning this on the fly, right? So it's it's really a big learning process for me. But to just give you some ideas what's coming next, if we go to milestones. So the next milestones in the code are actually the CLI version 7. So I don't really know what the heck is wrong. I probably created the versions multiple times, so there's a bit of a mess around in here. But I usually start attaching these issues here to the milestones. So here, for example, let's go in here. Why the heck are only these shown? I thought I've done more stuff than that, but anyways, let's go to the changelog. It's probably gonna... Oh no, the most changes are coming in the version 1.0. Ah, okay, I just got the wrong version. So the 007 is what's coming out probably the next days, because I need these improvements for the next videos. But for the longer term, I'm working on some other features, like, for example, static libraries, so that you can add more than one boilerplate library. So in theory, you could write your own templates by using the CLI tool, so that you're not just limited to mine. And I also start creating a better developer and end user documentation for this tool, so that you can easier write your own templates. Like, for example, if I go into the let's go into CLI modules and go to cd compose. Ah, no, that's not the right directory. Here, for example, open this file. Yeah. So here, for example, this is the schema for the variables. And currently, this is, of course, existing in the code. But I think we should have a proper documentation about this. And what I'm currently working on is some automated way of creating documentation on the GitHub wiki side from this source code. So I think there must be a way, like, to create a GitHub action that always runs when there is a new schema updated, and put this as a markdown file on the documentation, so you can better read all the variable fields and what specifically you can use, so that you can better write your own templates if you want to. So that's definitely needed for documentation. That's a huge topic, and that obviously will take a lot of time. But yeah, so most of the videos will use this tool in the future to make deployments easier and simpler for you. I hope that you like this. If you have any questions, you can still put it in the chat. I'm still online for a few minutes, or you can write me a DM on Discord, or raise issues here on the GitHub repository if you have some other ideas for new features. I've already seen 1 or 2 feature requests in here that I'm currently thinking about how I could implement this, so that's always a huge help to make this tool better. So let me read through some of the questions in here. Warp says you are an AI developer pro. Thank you so much, guys. I hope I'm getting better and better, but yeah, we will see. Someone just getting on your stream. Yeah, watch the last video, Kevin. So that's probably gonna explain what I'm talking about. In a company, you usually use tickets. Managers really like Jira. Oh, guys, I can tell you, the company I'm working for as my main job is also using Jira, and it's like, oh, God, it's not my most favorite tool, to be honest. Yeah, because it's such a big, complicated platform. I know why companies use it for sure, but if you want to have a lightweight Jira that's also integrated in your GitHub repository, just use GitHub, right? GitHub has almost all features that are important for making software projects. Like, it has issues, it has labels, it even has a project tab, and has milestones. That's probably everything you need. Yeah. If you're just managing a community project and you don't need a specific organization or stuff like that, I think GitHub tools are really absolutely amazing for this. Yeah. On my HomeLab, I'm also using GitLab, so for my internal stuff. But yeah, so for this project, if there is anything public facing, just use the features of GitHub. Yeah, they're good enough for smaller projects, obviously. But yeah, it's like these bigger platforms. I know I have to use them at work, but I'm not really a friend of Jira. And yes, I tried Git T as well, but honestly, I'm more a GitLab fan, to be honest. And one of the next video topics is, by the way, also about self-hosting GitLab. By the way, if I'm just gonna execute Docker Compose list, Oh, what? Ah, okay. I need to go back to the main directory here for sure. And then show GitLab, you can also probably see where we are going with this video. So the next video about GitLab will also feature my boilerplates repository. So and that's gonna be interesting, guys, because it includes not only the GitLab Community Edition with some of the settings, but also, as you can see here, it has a performance preset. Because with some smart performance settings, I was able to reduce the memory consumption of GitLab dramatically down to like 40%. So this is, and I've baked these settings into our templates. So of course, that's gotta help you guys to set up a GitLab instance with optimized performance settings and low memory consumption. I mean, relatively low memory consumption. GitLab is still a huge platform, but it's going to be much better than the default settings for sure. And these are baked into my GitLab template, yeah. And of course, these include settings for traffic. These include settings for configuring the email server, the authentic single sign-on with the client ID, client secret that are automatically put into the GitLab RB config file, and settings for the container registry. So just like in the same way I deployed my production GitLab instance, and it's working great. So yeah, I can definitely say that's going to be a huge part of the next video. Yeah, and their boilerplates are really helping me because it's much easier to just follow this video by executing the same commands instead of just going to the repo, copying certain settings that might be relevant to your environment. Some others might not. So I hope that you definitely find that useful. Including a runner, not yet. GitLab runner will be a separate template. So, but actually, I don't know. Could this be into the same template useful? I don't know. That's a decision I haven't really made, because honestly, but that's probably a bigger discussion to have, right? Because currently I've created these templates as standalone components, right? For example, if you see the alloy template, okay, so yeah, that's currently a problem in this current version. Compose show alloy, that should work, yeah. If you take a look at the alloy template, this is just the alloy part. And in the past, I didn't really create these templates as larger stacks. I created one template for each application, and I just put a database server in here. But you can argue if it would make sense to create a GitLab plus runners template, yeah? Or could we have a monitoring template that probably adds Prometheus, Grafana, Loki, and Alloy into one single template, into one single Docker Compose stack, maybe? That might be a discussion I'm open for, because I think that could help to deploy things even faster. So that I still would love to maintain a single application template, but I think there's a way of creating a separate template that's called like monitoring stack or something like this. We might even add the description field, or like a short description field, into this table here, so that we can add some, yeah, what this template is about and what it provides. Of course, if you show the details, it will give you a larger description, but maybe it would be nice to have a very small description into this table here, yeah? And that would help for adding monitoring templates or something like this. So to pack multiple applications into one bigger template stack. I'm open for this discussion. I'm really thinking about it. I don't know if you would like it, or if you think that would spawn more confusion than it actually helps. But I think I think key to this change would be that it's more transparent what components or what applications are actually in this template. Because currently, the version is actually the application version, right? And this is a single field. If I would have a monitoring template that has multiple applications, that would also mean a different version management. So, changes like that, and this is really the most difficult part of creating a software, is you cannot just add more and more features to it. You need to think this through, and you really need to think about this. Does it actually make sense, and what implications might that change have to existing parts of the code? So this is definitely getting more and more difficult. I'm thinking about this, but I like the idea, right? Maybe have GitLab and GitLab plus runner as a separate template entry. I don't know. So yeah, that's currently what I'm not sure. Again, this is still a very early version, yeah. So and it might change over time, but these are the thoughts that I have. Do we have template groups? Yeah, we don't have template groups. What we have are libraries. So you can see that this current implementation, so this is the new version 007, introduces different libraries. So if you execute the current version, so boilerplate version 006, you just have a default library. But in the new version, you can add multiple libraries. So in theory, we could also create multiple boilerplate libraries for different things, right? It serves like as a group. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I'm really not... I've not made a decision how we're going to treat this. Since it's so simple to decide what we want, I see the benefit. Yeah, it's really... yeah, we will see. I'm really open to your feedback. So if you believe, well, this decision might be wrong, or this or another way might be better, I'm always open for discussion, or a discussion on Discord or on GitHub, maybe even on this live stream, to talk about some of this stuff. But again, there are some huge changes coming in the next versions, making this tool better and better. And by the way, I'm also working on migrating the other templates. So this for example, might also be interesting. So this is coming. I don't know when I'm finished with this, because I need to write completely different modules. But going forward, I would love to have something like BP and not Compose, but BP Kubernetes or BP Terraform, yeah, something like this, and then be able to manage Terraform and Kubernetes templates as well. And Kubernetes templates probably will have Helm chart values plus manifests combined into one thing, because I don't know, I sometimes have deployment templates that uses both, yeah, Helm, and I still need manifests for, I don't know, traffic ingress route objects or something like this. So that will be, yeah, maybe a bit more complex and more complicated than Compose stacks. Compose is just the easiest, yeah. So that's why I started with it, and that's also shown in most of my videos. But there's definitely some more stuff coming. So yeah, again, I hope that you like this. I hope that you will use this tool. Again, the more I will use it in my videos, probably the more people will jump on this. And then I collect the feedback, and I can start prioritizing some of the feature requests. As you can see, I still have many, many feature requests just coming from me, because I noticed I need this. But yeah, I'm always open for feedback from you guys. Okay, guys, so yeah, I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you liked to see a bit what's coming next for Boilerplates, for the community projects. And I think in the next live stream, I hopefully have some more news to share. So what features I implemented and what new features you can use. And I guess we will have more templates ready for you to use. And yeah, so thank you so much for being here. Have a nice rest of the day. And I think I'm going to catch you in the next live stream in 2 weeks. Or in the next video, the next days, hopefully. Yeah, I leave the Das Vogelgrieb. Sorry, you just joined, and I'm ending this live stream now. But I leave the recording on YouTube, so you can watch it if you like. And then we'll meet next time in 2 weeks. Okay, guys. So thank you so much. I catch you soon. Bye bye.